There we go. Good one. Finally, I'm a whopper plopper. Golly, it took me a minute. I got like 6 bites earlier on a buzz bait and it wouldn't commit. So I had to switch to whopper plopper. That's not a bad one right there to get our morning started. Let's get this hooks out of this guy real quick. There we go. That fish had that bait on the outside of the mouth. I've had like 3 fish like that bite this morning, pretty good ones. And I'm basically just fishing out here, guys, on the upper end of Beaver Lake. There we go, guys. Got that fish on a whopper plopper, classic ball bait. This one is a clear colored whopper plopper, actually painted with a black Sharpie. It gives it more of like a translucent black effect, which I really like when you have like 2 to 3 feet of water visibility like we have up the river today. I was throwing a buzz bait earlier and I actually missed 2 or 3 fish on it, but it let me know where these fish were. And then even with the trailer hook, I wasn't getting connected, so I switched to the whopper plopper. That's usually my normal process. I like the buzz bait because it gets hung up a little bit less, but if I can't get him to commit to that, I go to the plopper. So we're gonna keep working down these banks. All I'm doing right now, guys, is trying to position my boat so I'm paralleling these banks and working that bait right on the edge of these rocks. A lot of these fish have been biting me literally right on the shore. They're sitting on the bank, and some of them are even coming from the bank and ambushing out away from the bank. So, I mean, these fish are dirt shallow on these transition banks, and they definitely are on these transitions. I've had like 6 bites now this morning already, and every single one is on one of these transitions. It is without fail that I am getting bit every single one of these banks. And I caught a couple smaller fish on a crankbait, but it seems like this topwater is getting me better quality bites. I mean, they're not big fish, but we're also fishing Beaver Lake here, so take that with a grain of salt. A 2-pounder on beaver is a really big one this time of year. So we are just going to try to get bites today, try to put some decent fish in the boat and make the best of our day up here up the river. So we just got to a little bit steeper section of bank here, guys. I'm actually getting on the big engine and idling past all of this because I really want to focus on those rock transition areas. I don't want to waste time even fishing down these steeper banks. I've already fished 2 or 3 of these steeper stretches and haven't got a single bite. And because I'm getting bit on every single one of these transition zones, I'm basically going to focus exclusively on them now. And again, not waste time fishing the steeper sections or the really flat sections. I'm just going to keep getting on the big engine, idling past. It's kind of shallow and stumpy, lake's like 5 feet low, so I'm not going to be able to run, but normally I would just run to the next little stretch. But this is really key in the fall. You're not going to get a ton of bites, and especially on a lake like Beaver where there's not that many big fish, you can't waste time fishing for 15 minutes down a really long stretch like this that's steep, because you're going to end up, again, wasting a bunch of time and not being in productive water. So idle past those stretches that aren't setting up for your pattern and just run those key little 30 to 40 yard stretches and run as many as you can in the section of the lake you're in, because you're gonna get a lot more bites that way. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Oh, there he is. Oh my gosh, guys, that was crazy. He was hitting it all the way at the surface and kept on missing it, and I got him. That's how I can get it, just by holding it there. That was wild. Oh man, another transition bank, guys. That was so sick. Nice keeper right there. Literally, that fish was like sitting there and I was just shaking and shaking on the side of the boat and he ate it. That's so cool. Just a skinny little dude, but this is so fun, guys. Even though these fish aren't big, I love figuring out these patterns and catching them, putting them in the boat. This is so sick. That was an awesome little bite too. Thank you, fish. That was so cool on that little plopper right there. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, that was so cool. Got right to this little transition bank right where we went from that steep wall to this flatter stretch here and got that fish to bite. I can't believe he followed it and hit it like 3 times right at the boat. That was wild. These fish right now, again, are just following this bait in. I'm getting a few to kind of slap at it and stuff, and I think this plopper was definitely the right call. Because of the treble hooks, I was able to actually get those last 2 fish in. If I had been throwing the buzz bait, I would have missed both those fish. So your bait selection can be pretty critical, guys, when you're fishing here in the fall on these fish, because they're not always going to be, choking it or the most aggressive. So you have to be paying attention to how those fish are reacting to your bait day in and day out. I prefer to catch them on a buzz bait. It's a single hook. It's a lot easier to get them in the boat, but right now this is the only thing I can actually get them to commit to. Now, we actually have a really interesting deal coming up right here. This is kind of a flatter stretch off of one of these transitions, and there's a really nice laydown up here. Now, I don't think these fish are gonna be like all over these laydowns this exact minute, though I am about to fish it because it looks so good. But what I'm thinking is that these fish are gonna be setting up maybe on these little transitions for the first couple hours here while we have the low light conditions and all that stuff. But then as we get later into the day, I could see these fish pulling up into these laydowns. So I'm just going to rig up a little Ozark rig here with the beaver. I'm gonna pitch these just to see, just right now, if there's anything in them. They're pretty steep off the end just based on how long it's taken my bait to fall down. So they're not shallow laydowns by any means. So these should be really good later in the day. The sun needs to be out, I have a feeling, to get these fish to really set up on this deal. So I'm not gonna expect really to get bit on this. I'm just gonna fish it just to be on the safe side because maybe they're already in these laydowns and I'm gonna miss out on a really good bite. Got him, there we go. Man, on one of these shallow laydowns. Told you guys they could be on this stuff. I just picked up a crankbait while I was working my way to this next transition and picked up a fish on a crankbait. Here, he was way up in that little laydown. This is fall fishing at its best, guys. Absolutely loving it. Got that fish on a crankbait. I'm gonna get the pliers out so I don't hook myself here. There we go, another nice little fish right there. Solid one. Got that fish on the Spro Fat John 60, just a little squarebill crankbait, throwing it around that laydown. Well, there we go, guys. Squarebill crankbait, shallow water. This is fall fishing 101. I love fishing shallow laydowns with the squarebill, throwing the topwater, the buzz bait, stuff like that. And this is how I grew up fishing on the Arkansas River. I actually spent the majority of my youth fishing this way, and I would fish in super muddy water, super tough conditions, and I've learned a lot about fishing this style. And the main thing I've learned is that you just have to adapt to what the fish are telling you on any given day. Some days they're going to be on those flatter stretches, some days they'll be around these laydowns, other times you're going to have to catch them on the top water. So just kind of keep your mind open. I have a bunch of different baits on right now. I'm going to try to throw this crankbait just down this bank a little bit until we get to this transition zone up here, and then we're going to keep throwing that top water. We are getting on them pretty good though right now, so hopefully it's going to keep up and we're going to be able to keep putting them in the boat. As long as we have this low light, I think it should be pretty good. Oh, that was a freaking big one. What was that? Oh my gosh, that was like a 4-pounder right there. I'm gonna drop a bait over there just to see if he'll eat it again. No way. Oh no, he had it. Come on. Oh my gosh, guys, right on this transition, that was like a 4-pounder. I can't believe he just had that bait again too. Come on, eat it. Come on. Oh, he boiled all over it. That was a big one. Dang it. Oh, he never got the bait. I just kept reeling it. It's not like I pulled it away from him or anything. He had the bait too. I don't know how he didn't get that. Oh my gosh. That was the size fish we want to get out here. And they're out here for sure. Man, that was a good one. That was a really big Beaver Lake fish. I was hoping I could get at least one bite like that this morning, just to kind of show that there are some quality fish that do this. Most of the time when I'm fishing this time of year, guys, and I am doing this sort of style of fishing, you're gonna get 1 to 2 good bites a day usually. You're not gonna get a bunch of good ones, but you'll get, like, on average, I say get 2 3+ pound bites like on a beaver. And if you're on a lake like Lake Gunnersville or something doing this, you can sometimes get 1 5 to 7 pound bite a day doing this. And there were some guys who did really well when they did have that 1 year of fall tournaments on Lake Chickamauga, I think it was, where a couple of guys were fishing in October way up the river, fishing a jig and a topwater on this exact same pattern. And we're catching really big fish. Not very many of them. They were catching limits though, and then a few good ones with it. So this is a really proven fall pattern. It's done well in the few tournaments that I've seen when this situation actually presents itself, and you sometimes aren't going to get all the bites that you get. I don't like throwing the top water that much this time of year at times in tournaments because of that, but the reward versus the risk a lot of times is there. When it does get a little bit brighter out and these fish get positioned tighter to the bottom, you can fish a jig down these exact same banks and throw a little squirrelbill crankbait or like a little banded 200 crankbait and catch really quality fish as well. So you don't just have to throw a top water. This is just the best way to cover the water in the morning. And then what I would do if I was gonna keep fishing this pattern in the afternoon is I would basically waypoint to all of these areas where I'm getting bit, come back and fish a jig and a crankbait down these exact same stretches, because these fish will be here all day. They're not going anywhere. It's just right now, this is the best bait to cover water and take advantage of the active ones, and then you can come back later and slow down. But it's a bummer when you miss. That's 2 in a row now I've missed, but that's just, again, just the nature of topwater fishing. Oh, that was cool. Freaking watch that fish come out from inches of water and eat that bait. Stay on there, fish. This is another decent one. Stay on there. There we go, not a bad one. Oh, let's get off these rocks. Oh, there we go, guys. That fish was in like an inch of water and I watched him shark off the bank to eat that thing. I actually switched to a slightly smaller plopper here. This is, I think, like the 78 size. And I thought that maybe because these fish were missing it, if I went to a smaller black plopper, I might be able to get these fish to commit better. And I just realized that fish was bleeding. I don't know why he was bleeding. I didn't hook him anywhere crazy, but hopefully he's okay. Anyways, but we got that fish there and we are now doing, pretty well on this pattern. Every single time we can find one of these rock banks that have shade on them, we are getting bit. And that fish actually came probably 5 feet to come eat that bait. So that means they're also pretty aggressive today, which is awesome. I have fished a couple of sunnier banks as I was making my way up this river, and I actually didn't get any bites. Oh my gosh, on the sunny banks, but they are crushing right now on these more shaded banks. Not big ones, but so fun, guys. Who doesn't want to catch them on the top water? There we go, nice little fish right there. Nothing crazy, but that is now 2 bites in a row almost on the smaller plopper. I just changed to this little plopper. There's actually a guy running up here. What in the world? I thought I'd be the only one up here fishing today. Anyways, got that fish on that small plopper, and I mean, as soon as that bait hit the water, he came out and sharked that thing. Maybe throwing that smaller plopper will get me a few more bites. Again, making those small bait adjustments can make a huge difference when you're fishing out here, guys. I'm gonna let these waves go by for a second. There we go, guys. Got that fish on that small little whopper plopper. It's a lot smaller than the one I was throwing earlier, and I got 2 basically back-to-back fish catches with that bait change. Really good stuff right there. You have to make those small adjustments, guys, a lot of times if those fish are missing your bait or they're short striking. I made that initial switch from the buzz bait to the bigger plopper, and it resulted in a few fish catches, but I missed a few, and I'm kind of just kicking myself now because maybe if I was throwing the small plopper from the beginning, I would have also got those other bites. So if you do miss a fish or if you see her short striking, it's not a bad idea to change up profiles, have a few different size baits, a small plopper, a bigger plopper, buzz bait, couple different things. Obviously still not catching big fish, but still a lot of fun. Oh, there we go, another one here. Oh, nice fish. Another transition here. Just jumped ahead. Literally in like my first cast on this little bank. Got another one. We are on it today, guys. This little whopper plopper change to the smaller one is definitely the key to getting a lot more bites. Again, not catching big ones, just that's Beaver Lake problems, but you can see how many we're catching and how consistent this is. I literally just got off pad and that was like my second cast down this transition. So we have this super dialed in right now, guys. These fish are super predictable, and in the fall, when you can find a pattern like this, you can catch so many fish. And we've already had a lot of bites today, and you have to really pay attention to all the factors. It's not just the fact that we're fishing these transition banks. It's transition banks where fish are right up against the wall, where you have some low light conditions, where it's kind of, you know, these shaded banks. And you also have to be up in the right section of the lake. Way up this river is where these fish are doing this. If we were doing the same exact pattern, let's say in the back of a creek on the lower end of the lake, you probably wouldn't be getting nearly as many bites, if any bites at all. So section of the lake, the type of bank, the shading of the bank, all those different things are really important in establishing a pattern. But once you get it dialed in, like I am right now, you can absolutely crack on them. Got him. Decent one. There we go. Another rock transition here. Keep him down. Quite a few fish out here. They're all not that big. This one feels decent, at least. But even if they're not that big, they're a lot of fun. There we go, guys. Got that fish. You can see these fish are all just swiping at it. They're barely getting it underneath the gills. 1 second, let me get this guy off. There we go, nice fish. That smaller plopper is definitely the trick. Guys, I think I'm actually going to call it a day on this pattern because I want to start trying to figure out another way to get some bigger fish in the boat. I have some other options, I think, up here, whether that's flipping or trying to fish some isolated laydowns or something. So I'm actually gonna end this video here, try to find something else where I can maybe catch some 3 and 4 pounders. I think, again, I could get some quality bites doing this if I just did it all day, stayed on these transition zones and fished them with jigs and things like that. But I always like to try to find different patterns and stuff because that's a lot of fun to me.